this week, or we're actually looking at planning for that reopen. And hairdressing is, as we always say, it's all about the client and it's all about communication. And this has really changed all of us. And I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned a lot about my team. And I've learned a lot about the people that, you know, we call our clients and that we love in the last week. I can tell you that if you are opening, and I know the Netherlands just opened today, that if you are actually opening right now, what's actually happening is clients are really happy to see you. They're scared, they're a bit apprehensive, but they're very, very happy to see you. And you are going to feel the love as they come back into your salon. The relationship's there with your clients, but the rules have actually changed. And, you know, I think it's really important to actually respect that and to understand that, because, you know, and keep your comments coming, because I know that every single one of you is actually, you have that connection with your clients, but you've also changed during this period, haven't you? We've all been through a lot of change, and I don't believe that change is actually finished. But we also want to get back to the salon. I can tell you, working in the salon last week, two things happened. I became very calm because I live a fairly frenetic life at KEVIN.MURPHY. And when I was in my salon doing haircuts, it just made me feel like I was in the moment. And all I could do in that moment was cut hair and to be with my clients. And it was a really beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. So what we're actually going to explore tonight, and I'll get into the agenda a moment, but is all of those things, because we can't just reopen the salon without thinking about those things. So I'm going to cue a video that some of you may have seen and some of you may not have. And it's the 60 Minutes video that I was on 60 Minutes Australia. And before I play it, I want to say, we'll discuss who that man is, because I tell you now, 5-6 weeks later, I'm a different man. Thank you, Rhea.
You listen to, Australia is staring down the barrel of economic chaos. And small business owners, like Nathan Gorman, are right in the firing line. He runs a busy inner Sydney hair salon, but right now is fighting to keep his 17 staff in a job.
How bad do you think it'll get?
I think it'll get quite bleak. I wrote out the financial crisis because people will tend to do things that feel good during a time of crisis.
A little luxury.
A little luxury, but the ironic thing about this time of crisis is there's a whole lot of stuff, there's a whole lot of complications around us touching them.
It's a unique set of problems,
yes,
isn't it?
Yeah.
The salon is following all the government advice and implementing strict hygiene protocols. But complying with social distancing rules is simply impossible.
My quest is to batten down the hatches and keep everyone employed in this time.
That's a fantastic gesture, but
yes,
financially, how long can you keep that going?
Well, before I have to put my hand in my own pocket, a shutdown of a month would really start looking quite grim.
How will you go if you do have to put people off?
I would like to say I won't. It's not a question I've really entertained. How would I go if I had to put people off?
Well, you don't want to think about it.
Yeah, I don't feed into that anxiety. I put a smile on my face and I'm optimistic, and my whole team does.
Don't you have a lot of anxiety?
Absolutely, but the minute I stand on the floor of my salon, I'm not thinking about myself. So, okay, we'll go to the next slide. So that actually was me. That was me being I suppose, a little naive. And it was quite interesting because when I watched that on 60 Minutes and the interviewer said to me, so that's a really nice gesture. I kind of had this moment of, wow, this is going to get quite bad. But I mean to say, it hasn't been as bad as I thought in terms of that. But that man that did that interview is a different man right now as I've gotten through all of this. And I think I'm quite optimistic now. I don't see things as quite grim or quite bleak. If you have any questions at any point, feel free to actually just let me know about it. Okay, so I'm optimistic too, Massimo, always the eternal optimist. But that, I think that you get, in English we have a saying, you get more flies with honey than vinegar, and you should be optimistic as a person. It's one of the most important things that you can actually be. So tonight or today, this morning, we're going to look at some topics. We're going to look at tools to navigate the changing client, because you couldn't actually go back into this time, even if you didn't close during this time. The client is changing. The client has changed. We're going to look at how to manage client expectations. We're going to look at how you've changed as a salon and some of the tools that you can actually use to present that. Staff changes. Now, those of you that employ staff, we know that staff have always changed. Andrew, you're saying some of your clients are not able to join. I'll throw that question to Rhea. She can help you with that, if that's all right. And then changing your business in response. And, let's be optimistic. I look at the opportunity of this, and there are lots of opportunities in actually how we can do that. So this is a quote that meant a lot to me when I started to put together the whole Reboot, Reopen package for Kevin Murphy. And it's fairly austere. It's quite harsh. And it says, now the future laboratory is actually an amazing place that you can go online. Please join them. A lot of client-based information comes through them. And it says this is a hard, unsettling result, but it will result in a positive and unprecedented changes in how ordinary people behave and react. So what we're saying is this is something that happened to us and we didn't choose it, but it's actually going to change everything. If businesses aren't prepared for this, in many ways, they deserve to become the casualties of a new shift in how we broker the way we live, work and play. It's a very hard way of saying that, but that people have long actually championed the end of retail. Now, I'm not saying hairdressing is retail, but we know, yes, Debbie, that this will be recorded. So we know that people actually, we know that retail was changing. And I heard a quote today that was also very important, and it said that coronavirus hasn't actually created any of this. It's just hurried it up. It's just made it happen more quickly. And that is absolutely where we find ourselves. Now, I don't mind Andrew saying South African hair and beauty may not open until level 1. So that's right. We're all at different stages. And that's not even to say that we don't have a repeat and have to shut down again. Who knows? God forbid. I hope that doesn't actually happen. But we're really trying to navigate that. And it's really just a time where we need to research. Now, the thing about creating a new normal that I find interesting is when we started doing all of this work at Kevin Murphy, the education team, we started to use verbiage like navigating a new normal. We're navigating a new normal. I want you to shift that verbiage upside down. We are actually creating a new normal. We may have been thrust into an environment where we have actually had to adapt to something, but it is our opportunity to create a new normal. a new normal for ourselves, a new normal for our staff, a new normal for our industry. It's absolutely time for us to do that. I think that salons need to become a symbol of wellness within the community. And what I mean is, it's very difficult when you are doing a haircut with a face mask on and asking clients to sanitize as they come into the salon, or you may have shields at reception and all of those things. It's very difficult to actually look at that. But if we actually say that we are doing that to maintain clients' wellness, not so we don't get sick, then we're just shifting that on its head and we're creating things about wellness. And that's a really important thing. Salons are a very, very big part of the community. They live in the community. People love going to the salon, and they do because it makes them feel good. So it's really important that we as a network take care of all of the health and safety so that we can take away that fear that it may make them sick, because it won't if we do everything correctly. Any comments about that opening there? No? Okay. So I think the first thing that we're actually going to look at is tools to navigate the changing client. Now, I want you to think about how you perhaps have changed as a client during this time. Some of the behaviours. Now, you've adapted to social distancing. For those of you that can go to the supermarket or the hardware store, you've actually adapted to social distancing, and you've done that really quite well. All of a sudden, it's become quite natural for us to keep our distance from people, to sanitize our hands, to wipe down our trolley in the supermarket with disinfectant. All of these things have actually become natural. We're still getting our food. We're still getting the same. Service in lots of ways, but already we've actually started to adapt to a new normal when we go to the supermarket and our behaviour. Now, that's what we're asking you at the Kevin Murphy Network to do. And Nicole, I love protecting our wellness. It's true. That's what we're doing. We're protecting our wellness. So we've all changed in a lot of ways, but I want to really focus on the client first. And the reason I want to do that is I can tell you, I can sit here and say, you need to disinfect that glass or not serve a glass, or you need to disinfect this, or you need to sanitize this. I can tell you that. I can tell you all of that, but you need to understand the client and the effect it has on them before all of that actually happens. So some are really interesting things, and, I'm not going to go into politics here, but we've really had enough of the 24-hour politics cycle and the fake news. It's really, really boring. Actually, there's no good thing about COVID, but one of the things about COVID that was very interesting is all of a sudden we don't have to listen to all of the constant garbage on the news, right? And I think you'll probably feel the same way. I don't mind which side of politics you're on. They say a good hairdresser never speaks about religion, sex, or politics. I'm probably not a good hairdresser. But now, actually, there's a really strong market for personal betterment. There's a really strong market. And I think that that's really interesting. And I ask you to think about one industry in particular, and that's fitness. Now, fitness was a very hands-on industry, always a very hands-on industry. They have managed to adapt their industry and to go online immediately. So they're online, they're doing their workouts from home, they've found ways to adapt, and likewise, we will actually find ways to adapt. Now, who would have thought we would move into such a strong landscape of digital connections, that we'd actually be having Zoom meetings, that we'd be doing a click meeting, that you'd be sitting, I'm in my office. I'm sitting in my office, I'm used to presenting on a stage, and here I am presenting to you guys via click meeting, which is a big change. So the second point is we may not realise it yet, but opportunities at hand, and we need to ride this wellness wave. Now, you'll see that this wellness is going to build for me throughout this presentation. Wellness is an incredibly overused term, and the better term would be that we want to make decisions for wellness around ourselves as humans, but also around our planet. It's no mistake that we feel joy when we see pictures, and Massimo, I'm sorry, they might be fake, but of dolphins in the Venice Canal, or of actually the animals that have come back, and the fact that we've got less pollution in the air. There's a real wave of wellness coming through. It's really a very interesting dynamic, and it's one that Kevin Murphy is really well placed, because we've always been about wellness. Your clients will demand wellness from you, and that doesn't mean that it has to be a welcoming tea and a ritual hand massage and all of that stuff. It actually just needs to know that they are safe with you. They did look nice, Massimo, the dolphins in the canal. They just want to feel safe with you. We all want to feel well because we've all come to value the things that we've come to value the things that we feel like we lacked because we were so time poor, and don't think your clients aren't any different. So we thought 2020, how many of you type your comments really quickly? How many of you thought 2020 is going to be my year? I'm going to put everything behind me and it's going to be amazing. Yeah. How many of you? Keep going. Yes, 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 yes. Well, I tell you now, March was the longest month on record. I think it went for 74 days as everything unfolded. It probably started a bit sooner than that for people like Massimo in Italy. But at the beginning of this new decade, the uncertainty has actually accelerated. And the start point of COVID-19 has put us into a situation that demands action, resilience, and a recalibration of hairdressing as we know it. Now, I actually honestly believe that recalibration of hairdressing needed to happen. And for those of you who English isn't your first language, what I mean to say is hairdressing needed to change in a lot of ways. I think in every town, if there were 10 salons, there were probably 4 to 5, of course, Kevin Murphy clients doing it amazingly, and the rest of them were actually letting down the rest of the team. Well, these sorts of things are actually going to become more and more important now. So we're adapting, and you can see that from the countries that have stayed open during this time, but we're adapting. The fourth point is we're entering a period of reflection like no other, in which we looked at success and achievement and productivity in a really strong way. And we're actually starting to look at those in a different way. That's actually where wellness starts to slip into this. So I've made the statement that in this chaos, we're reassessing what makes a good life. Now, who has actually reassessed what makes a good life during their period of lockdown? Comment, let me know. Who has thinking about what makes a good life? Yep, exactly. There's nothing wrong with making money, by the way. It's great to make money. We enjoy making money. All of our salons like making money. That's fine. But this constant growth and this constant achievement to actually achieve it is probably what we actually need to look at. And we need to look at that together as an industry, I truly believe. Okay, so yes, reprioritising, Caroline, and meaningful foundations. So from the Future Lab, because these guys are really amazing, they're saying that the latest research into wellness and beauty, and when we're trying to research at Kevin Murphy all about our industry, hairdressing, we don't look at retail, we tend to look at beauty, and we tend to look into wellness. but they revealed a shift towards conscious deceleration and mental well-being. And for those of you whose English isn't your first language, what that means is I want to slow down and I want to feel better about my life. Yeah, that's it. It's as simple as that. There's about daily rituals that and a balance of nature and science. So daily rituals, I mean, for me, my biggest daily ritual is actually walking the dog. I feel very good when I walk the dog. That sounds ridiculous, but it's one of my daily rituals that actually makes me feel good about myself. And the balance of science and nature is important to clients. Well, we always know that at KEVIN.MURPHY, we say we are the best of science and nature. We have always been the best of science and nature. And that's like, when we come up against, or are you, 100% organic, or are you this, or are you that? No, KEVIN.MURPHY uses skincare technology. We're the best of science and nature. And that is something that's going to be really important. I think on a podcast a few weeks ago that we were with Kevin, we were actually laughing about Kevin said to me or Kate or someone, 3 weeks ago it was like, is this natural? Now it's like, oh my God, is it going to kill everything? Is it going to kill everything? So we've actually started to look to science again for security and for wellness. Now, the other thing about this is appeal to the individual. So the thing about this is, you saw those memes running around about people going, well, I'm an introvert, so isolation's good for me. Do you know what? It was actually considered bad 8 weeks ago to sit at home and think about yourself and where you're at in your life and your family and whatever. That's right, Tina. It's different for all of us and a new beginning. Yeah, that's right. So we need to know that they've started to think about what they actually like and what they actually would like to change, and how much they've actually changed in that period. I mean, there's opportunities here in terms of looking at the rituals you do. It could be KEVIN.MURPHY rituals, but it can be health and safety rituals. So think about that. So just for a moment, think about being able to make a ritual, like being able to make a ritual about wellness. Well, I'm sorry, if you have to wear a face mask or if you have to cut hair with gloves on, well, turn it into a ritual for wellness as opposed to fear of something. Turn it into that. And you'll find that your clients will actually really respond incredibly well to that. Okay, so communication is something we're looking at. So I wanted to say, and I'll take some questions in a moment, communicate if you are closed or if you're actually open. You need to communicate to your clients. How many of you are closed and communicating with your clients and open and communicating with your clients? I thought there'd be a big difference. Now, we opened 7 days ago. There's not. The clients just want to hear from you. It's an opportunity if you're closed. July, Donna, yeah. It's an opportunity if you're closed to actually build those touch points with consumers. And what I mean by that is, it's about creating new connections for when you reopen. But it can be as simple as, oh, your child's really cute. Oh, I love that post. What are you actually doing? Actually engage with them on social media. You can tap into this. Like, you can't sell at the moment in that way, but you need to stop thinking of yourself as sellers of this service, because if you think the service is taken away, then you start panicking. So you're not just sellers of a service, right? You are actually engagers of a place of ritual or a place of wellness. So you're engaging the clients. And what I mean by that is clients feel a feeling when they walk through your doors. They love to come to your salon and it gives them a feeling. You need to find that way via social media, via email, via the phone, to actually communicate with those clients and to remind them of how they feel when they come into your salon. That's true, Donna. Our profession is our hobby. It's the business aspect around it. So it's going to change, a lot of roles around the engagement that you do to create deeper personal engagement. And I'd say if you're closed or open, just pick up your device and don't actually have any fear about it. Just speak to your clients. You've been part of their lives for so long. They're going to be so scared that you actually they haven't heard from you and you haven't heard from them. Now you think about it, you would normally see these clients so regularly, but you need to place yourself front and center in their minds. So I'm going to sum that up by saying many of the brands you do return to give you a feeling. Now, rest assured, salons, you are a brand. And the reason you're a brand is because you give people a feeling when they do business with you. And they will, after this pandemic, and when you open, they will return to the brands that made them feel good. That's why one of the first things I said to Kevin when this started, and we were all very confused and trapped in Australia, which is quite unusual for us, I said to him, Kevin, don't worry, you're actually on the right side of history. With all of your ocean waste plastic and with everything like that, every initiative, the choices we make at Kevin Murphy, the quality of the ingredients, the charities we support, we are actually on the right side of history. And we're a brand that people will return to because before this, we were doing all of the right things. So any questions about all of those topics, and we'll continue to follow these topics up. I don't think this will just be a one-off conversation or a one-off of Nathan speaking to you. I think that we'll follow that up. So we're actually going to enable question mode, or if you want to type your question, then I can answer it. Don't be shy, please. Okay, there's no questions. Oh no, I can see 3 questions coming now. Oh, how have my staff coped? Well, some have and some haven't. Some have been optimistic. Some were helping me with all the at-home care that we were doing for our clients, and some treated it like a holiday. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to sugarcoat that for you guys. I don't think my team, because I do this at Kevin Murphy, is a perfect team. I think everyone needs individual work. I think that, so to answer how they've actually coped, indifferent, because I think that, like, in different ways, because I think everyone copes with something completely differently. Donna, could we chat about the approach to education and how we see the future? Yes, I will actually answer that as we come up into that. But I'll tell you something interesting, Donna, is I was asked by, I think one of the European or the North American team members about the future of salon education at this stage, or even getting someone in. I actually can't have that many people in my salon to be educated. Now, I've only been open for 7 days and I've had a maximum of 3 to 4 staff working each of those days with their clients. So how I've approached education is the same way we're doing it right now, click meeting and Zoom and things like that. And so Kevin Murphy as a brand needs to adapt very quickly to become quite digital, to actually go into that new landscape as well. Stephanie, are you adjusting the number of staff you'll have working? Yes. So I think I just answered that. Absolutely, we are. We are adjusting the amount of staff. And I'll go into some of those more practical decisions. So Tina's saying, Avon, yes, Singapore. Hello, Singapore. We're reopening tomorrow. And is there anything we should prepare for reopening and how's the staff coping? It's actually going to be much more beautiful than you imagine. And the one thing I'll say is you actually have to take care of all the wellness, because the clients have had enough about being at home, and you'll get this first rush of clients that just really want to come in. There's a few clients behind them who are quite actually scared about things, but you'll get those clients. We're all nervous. We were all nervous on our first day, but after our first week, now we're moving on to different issues in terms of that. I hope that answers your question, and Avon, I know that we will. So Tina, where are you from, Tina? So we open this Friday and I'm booking online, texting my clients, walking them through the process and requiring my clients sign a waiver. Okay, there's a lot in that question to unpack, but I'm going to do it bit by bit. The online booking is a question and an argument that I had with my partner. I turned my online bookings off. I think you're just saying booking over online means. I turned my online bookings off so I could control the clients. My partner left his online bookings on, but actually is calling every client to create that connection and that communication. It doesn't matter how you communicate with clients. I think that the fact that you do. The waiver, I don't know where you are, Tina. Are you in South Africa? No. The waiver I would actually look at in terms of a legal for your home area, if that makes sense. If you feel like you need to do that, I think that's fine, because we'll look at risk assessments later and that'll explain that. Gina, what is the new face of salons when we get back? And will salons be financially viable if the busy stylist cannot have multiple clients? It's a very, very good question. Now, Gina, this was my big fear. Because of how, and we'll go into this later in the presentation, but because of how the bookings need to be done, it can't be just one on and one off, and one on and one off. Like, what I mean to say is Tetris. It needs to be one client in, one client out. For those of you that know me, I'm actually doing colour again after years, because I'm like, well, it's just easier if I do it, because I can do one client in and one client out. I would actually have to say that the figures haven't been nearly as bad as I thought. I was quite worried. But Gina, my advice to you about that is to look at the whole week as 7 days, which it is. So what I'm not allowing to happen is to have hugely visible Saturdays, like hugely crazy visible Saturdays with loud music. The clients can't do that. I can't have that many people in the salon. But guess what? Now my Mondays are busy, my Tuesdays are busy, my Wednesdays are busy, my Thursdays are busy, my Fridays are busy, and my Saturdays are busy. So rather than, I've made it very clear to our clients, and we'll go into that later in the presentation, that they can't all expect to get the appointment that they want at this time. And believe it or not, they're actually quite happy to do that. So that actually helps that. Tina, are you giving more timing? Yes. The biggest struggle with PPE is disinfecting after every client. I mean, that's the biggest struggle. I don't love cutting hair in a face mask. But I've got used to it. I think it's fine. I think it's fine. I mean, different jurisdictions, you're going to have like shields and face masks and all of that. But as I said before, if we turn this into wellness and not sickness, it's not like I'm not hiding from you because I'm scared you're going to make me ill. I'm actually wearing all of this to make sure that we all stay well. That's the biggest point I can give you about that. How do you prioritize clients first? Who gets into the chair first? Donna, very good question. I was sitting there with Dean. Hi, Dean, if you are here. I was sitting there with Dean and we were choosing our clients. And I must say, I'm sorry, it's terrible. We chose our favourite clients first. But your favourite clients are the ones that spend the money, are loyal to the salon. Dean made the comment to me that it was like shooting fish in a barrel, and it kind of was. I would worry about the people after that. But for us, Donna, the rule for the staff, the rule that I put through the team was that clients actually, in the period of our shutdown, we essentially froze our books. So we needed to go back and we needed to start with those books. So essentially my entire booking for, 15 staff is thrown out for the whole year. It's all just, it's obliterated, and I have to start the whole year again. Again, not that big a problem. Stephanie, are you using disposable capes? No, we're not. We're not. But what we actually do is we have a whole, you must, and we'll look at laundry later. We use KM capes, but everything is single use now. Tina, I have a home studio, the waivers so clients understand. Yep, that's fine. And I think that, Tina, I'm going to actually assume that you're in the US, and that's a very strong government directive from there. Okay, let's move on. So we'll go back to the presentation now, because I've actually got a whole lot of stuff, because and we don't want to get too far down that. Okay. So managing client expectations. And this is going to be a really big thing, because clients are really going to expect a lot. And you don't have all the answers right now. So as clients have become acquainted with virtual communication, then virtual consultations are a step away. Now, we're working on this at Kevin Murphy right now, but I think that you can actually do a virtual consultation via FaceTime. You can do a virtual consultation via the phone. That is a virtual consultation. I would encourage you to allow your staff and for you to reach out and to develop this hands-free experience at the time of consultations. And this is actually also to get them back into the salon. It's not that you're just retail, you touch them. So when they come to the salon, you need to touch them. So you need to touch them emotionally. And a virtual consultation or virtual communication is a really big part of that. Now, you'll find that you are all communicating with lots of people right now. Now, the anxiety and fear related to COVID will take time to dissipate, leading to the emergence of a new generation of wellness professionals. Well, that's absolutely the truth, and we've seen it already. And those guys are actually specialising in communication. Who would have thought that you could have virtual doctors now, which you can in most countries? And there's another thing about beauty supply chain disruption. Now, who would have thought that Yves Saint Laurent would make hand sanitizer, right? I'll let that sink in for a moment, and then I'll tell you that we're making hand sanitizer at Kevin Murphy. So we've got hand sanitizer, we're making PPE. So all channels and brands that you would not even believe are making PPE. Now, I'm going to put a caveat over that, Amber, and I'm going to say that our first lot of hand sanitizer will be hand sanitizer because we had to get to market quickly. Our second lot of hand sanitizer will have Kevin's beautiful box with a bow on top, and it'll be something a little bit different. So we're actually doing some really exciting stuff in that. But who would have thought that Kevin Murphy, I mean, as I was actually writing this whole presentation around returning to salons, I was thinking, I can't believe I'm actually sitting here typing this for Kevin Murphy. It's just extraordinary, but nonetheless, that's where we find ourselves. So managing the digital experience of clients with you is really, really important. See, as I'm going to, and the reason I put this into so many slides is because if you take one thing home from today, I want you to take this home. You need to connect in a new and exciting way that's personal, but in a way that helps your business relationship along. It can actually help you forecast the items you need. Now, I'm two-handed. I work for Kevin Murphy and I own a salon, which means I sell product for Kevin Murphy. I sell shampoo. I buy into the choices we make. We're a wonderful brand. I have to pay for that. That means I need enough stock on my shelf, and I need, yes, expenses, Gina, all of that kind of stuff. So if you actually think about this, and if you start doing your digital consultations and you actually say to them, now, will you be needing any retail? It's going to allow you to actually forecast the items you may need to do. I would have liked to have thought that last Monday, or for Monday, I had enough money to just fill the shelves with everything I may need. But I didn't. I actually didn't. And I'm going to be honest and tell you that. So I had to look at the orders that I was going through, and I had to prioritize the items. Now, actually knowing which clients were coming in and what they might need to take home and what they may have in their colour actually allowed me to make those decisions, and to a win-win. I'm still buying product, but I'm actually also forecasting the product and able to be more cost effective for my salon. So think about that with digital consultations. The second was, you need to make the expectations of clients crystal clear, because the fear will take time to go away. So you need to manage their physical experience when they're in the salon, and it can be the most simple of things. I have a wonderful client called Connie last week, and I'm a big salon, but I'm a doorbell salon. And what I mean by that is I have 2 windows and a door and graffiti that faces the street. There's no big sign saying salon. There's no anything. Now, we have a very old building. I actually very stupidly, even though it was part of my processes, and I'll share those later, to make sure that my doorknob is sanitized at all times, I actually thought, how stupid, I'm leaving the door shut. So each client actually has to open the door, and it's an old door with a doorknob. So all of those sorts of things you have to think about. You need to take them through what to expect from your salon from beginning to end, and what you expect from them in a safety sense, like to go back to the point of, like, if you expect them to wear masks, or if you expect, you need to take them through all of that, and then you can shift that verbiage to wellness. And that's something that's really important. That's something that I think is just great, that you can actually do that. Okay. So to consolidate what I was saying about connections and social media and communication, people spend their money where they spend their time. And more, we are actually spending our time on our phones. Yeah? That's actually what we're doing. So you need to make sure that you're on their phones. And you need to be on their phones by communicating into them in a way that is appropriate. For example, if they're a Gen X, it's going to be Facebook. If they're a millennial, it's going to be Instagram, or even TikTok, like Massimo. So you need to be conscious of the fact that they'll return to you and they will spend money, but you need to be engaging them on their phones now, which is something really important. We're also finding that as consumer mindsets have actually moved, they're more open to casually chatting. Yes, you have TikToks to monitor, Massimo. So they're more open to casually chatting with the brands that they actually love. Who's found that with their clients, that they're actually quite happy to chat with you throughout this period? Well, that's because they actually miss you, and that's something really important. And, for those of you that were worried about the profitability of the one-on-one approach, you need to spin it, because they'll actually come to love that. And eventually we need to charge the appropriate amount for that one-on-one shift. So the one thing I wanted to say about that is, and I hear this from the US market, many of you may own or work in big salons, and everyone's saying, oh, they'll feel more safe in a boutique salon. It's actually the one-on-one experience creates a more boutique salon. I guarantee you, I am a big salon, but by spreading out my staff and spreading out the time, that one-on-one like that gives it a far more boutique feeling in which people feel safer. Javita, other than customer retention is a good chance, well, yes, it's a good chance for a new source of client. Absolutely. But I'd make them wait behind in the line before your old clients, personally, because I expect them to be loyal to me. After this, I'm going to be loyal to my existing clients first. So I want you to remember that we're actually not navigating a new normal, we're creating a new normal. So I'm going to summarize expectations. Communication and digital communication before the visit, ongoing, and understand that virtual consultations or just even communications are a really valuable tool for productivity. They will drive sales and they will drive money. SMS, email, virtual, connect. Appointment times available. You may have limited spaces, and if you say they'll be in the salon for a certain time, you need to hit that target, because some of you will actually have time limits as well. You may consider, if you need to, limiting some services to be able to get more people in. I've kind of done that. Like, I made it very clear to our clients that because we're not paying Tetris with our appointments, and this will answer Gina's question a little bit, because we're not paying Tetris with our clients, that I'm sorry, you're coming for your haircut on Tuesday and your colour on Saturday. And trust me, they will do it. They will absolutely do it. And, you know, secretly, us hairdressers know that if you have a haircut and a colour separately, we get more money, because we've got separately 2 services and all of that. But you need to be very clear about, you know, what you expect from them in terms of health, or if they can bring guests here. Just be so clear and use the resources that I'll launch to you. Gina, I think that rent per square metre per annum is something that I look at in terms of costing out my salon. And I do have fear around that also, but I think that was a pre-COVID kind of thing. I think that we're going to actually have to look at that. But trust me when I say you'll find you'll be pulling in a more consistent amount of money without the highs and lows. And I don't want to speak too far on that, because really we're all kind of just getting into it together, but you'll be pulling in a more consistent amount across the week. Okay. A few more. Cancellation policy. If you charge for a cancellation, you actually probably need to remove that at this stage, because you're essentially asking them to cancel because you don't want them sick. So you need to be flexible about that cancellation policy. You need to be incredibly flexible about that. Finances. Now, I think it'd be rude to assume that their position has changed, but it probably has. Now, let's look at this 2 ways. Lots of people have been at home and not spent a lot of money, so they actually have more disposable income at this stage. That's a lot of people, and a lot of people have actually lost their jobs. But the one thing we know is that hairdressing is a little bit of luxury and a little bit of necessity wrapped up together. So they will prioritise us. But I think quoting is more important than ever. Have that discussion so that they can actually sort that out. I think that that's important for 2 reasons. I think that they're going to have a little bit of fear navigating the PPE and all of that kind of stuff. They don't need to sit there and think, oh, how much is this going to cost me? Get all that out of the way so that they actually know and that they can actually enjoy. Okay, and then, as I said, to make them feel safe, the PPE needs to be available, but make it a ritual, like control their visit from beginning to end. And I don't mean make it a ritual of putting on a face mask. I mean, they'll have one on anyway. but tell them what to expect. And I think email and SMS is the best place to send out that dry information. I tend to not put it on my social media. I tend to say that we've made changes and your safety and wellness is really important. And I'm always using safety and wellness in one hit right now, but I'm going to remove safety eventually and just have wellness. And it's now what you do before, during, and after a client's visit that actually makes the difference. So here's some ideas, and this is, sorry, I'm a lot of speaking, but I'll get through this quickly. So engage them. You can do social media competitions if you're actually shut for a little bit longer. Anything that makes them engage in a fun way. Use their name. That's a very big thing. Use their name. I don't care if you're speaking on the phone or digital means, you should always use their name. You need to share your virus strategy, and that, to me, I think that dry information belongs in emails and in personal messages, but you'll see that the templates that we've actually given you at Kevin Murphy will take care of that for you. You need to take into account that their life's changed because yours has. Give them a chance to be heard because some people will be anxious and you know, they're going to ask questions. Use all the channels that you can in your toolkit, like Gen X might like, or baby boomers will like a call, but millennials, Instagram. And, you know, we've seen a lot of promotions that can be redeemed later, like gift vouchers. A really good idea that I use at my salon around that is I sell $150 gift vouchers for $100. Now, I normally do that at Christmas time. I do it for 2 days only, in mid-December, just before Christmas. So you buy a $150 gift voucher for $100. And guess what? I sell about $30,000 in 2 days of gift vouchers, which is quite extraordinary. So you'll find people are open to that sorts of thing. Do interviews with your staff on live, create videos and polls. I mean, actually, if your staff are cooking dinner, the clients just want to see it. They're quite happy. They're quite happy to see anything. Create a challenge, like show us your roots, and just about staying positive, really. Okay, so any questions about that communication or anything like that? Okay, Tina, no, we saw that one. Okay, no, okay, like I can move on. Did we have anyone new that joined us at 10 o'clock from Australia? I can see someone typing. No, Nicola, you changed your mind. Okay. So, what we'll actually do is to going into how you've changed. And what I mean by you is your salon. And it's really important. It's really important that you present how you've changed as well. Because you've changed. The salon has changed. And if we just think about it in that way, I mean, and we don't think about it as in all the heavy government regulations I have to abide by, of course you have to abide by those regulations. And of course you actually need to abide by those regulations in your home territory or home state or anywhere like that. Okay, so some of the ways that you could have changed, Gina, this might scare you, but I think you're going to be up for it. It is a rebuild of a business in a new landscape. It is. It's not just opening the doors and going back to normal. You're rebuilding the business. You are looking at your cost structures. You are looking at how much income per each stylist or yourself can bring in each day. You are setting new targets. You are doing that. You are. And it's just, I'm sorry if it cracks like a duck, it's a duck. You are doing that. And that's just as simple as anything. And I'm sorry if we find that hard. But, you know, I always said I wanted to change. I just didn't think it'd be so dramatic. So it's a chance for you to create the salon that you've always wanted. Like, this is your opportunity to tie up all of those loose ends that you actually may have felt at different points over the years. It's you know, I always used to say, if I had time, I would. If I had time, I would do this. If I had time, I would do that. But now I have the time, so I'd better do it. Ongoing changes, I think it's too early to predict what's going to stay. I think it's far too early to predict, and I think it'd be not right to predict, because different countries it's going to be quite different. So don't panic about that. I mean, we are really just living in the day. I think that, like debtors, we're all in this together. I wanted to put this statement there because I think we don't all come down from the moon with a lot of money. When you have been keeping people or looking after people or doing whatever you need to do in your jurisdiction with your staff, there's not a lot of available cash. You probably do owe money for rent, and you probably do owe money for utilities and to vendors or to product companies. Like, you know, you just need to understand that we're all in it together, and pick up the phone and communicate. It's like your mother used to say to you, something's not so bad when you own up to it. And that's the fact of the matter. And I've had to pick up the phone, and I've had to make deals with my landlord. I've had to make deals with my product company to get my KEVIN.MURPHY. I mean, it's exactly what we actually have to do right now, because we're all in it together. They want to keep you as a client. You want to keep your clients as clients. We're here. We're all in it together. Gina, this is for you. Planning finances and growth from now, because I don't think the old plans apply. Interestingly, and I don't know if my father-in-law is actually on here, but he's quite a well-known hairdresser with salons in Switzerland. He sets targets let me think about that again. His pricing is actually structured per minute. I don't think that's really going to work after this pandemic for a little while. It might take a while to get back to that. So I think that you need to really look at new plans, but I think you need to be really flexible with those new plans. So, for example, I guaranteed my staff a certain amount of money for the 3 days that they'll actually work, but then they're all on different structures to actually try and earn more money over the top of that for the 3 or 4 days that they're actually working. And they're pushing. They're already a bit of time in, they're actually pushing. I think that one of the best things that you can do is to set your mind to the fact that going forward, we are going to need to set new targets. I think if we looked at that, people aren't as motivated by money. I guarantee you your staff will be motivated by wellness and creativity. So you set new targets that include education and wellness and things that are actually growing them as a person and things that actually will grow them as an individual. That's the sort of thing we need to look at as well. And again, communicate with your teams in a new way. You know, staff meetings drove me mad because I had a big team and it was really difficult because, Stephanie didn't work that day and blah, blah, blah didn't work that day. You could never get them in. Well, guess what? I can have Zoom meetings now and get all my team in one place on one day, and that is fine. And I think that that's actually a really good outcome for salons right now, to tell you the truth. I think it's really exciting to kind of adapt to that. Okay, so any questions at this point? I know but keep going because we're going to move into what you would consider to be the more dry part, which is risk assessments. Okay. Hi, Joshua. The time was actually wrong on the flyer for Taiwan, I beg your pardon. Okay, those of you that have known me for a while would know that I studied science before I became a hairdresser, and it was a really weird thing because I left university and became a hairdresser, and discovered nightclubs or whatever. I'm digressing. But what I mean to say is, at Kevin Murphy, this is the first time I've really had to pull out my full science hat and to actually think about what a risk assessment might be. Nicole, how would you communicate staff changes and staff leaving? Well, I think I've communicated asking for flexibility. Ria, do you actually have that other video queued or not? I'm just going to... Because the one thing I've been doing is in my communications with my clients, with our clients at Head Over Heels, not my clients, our clients, I'm quite ambiguous, and I actually don't communicate a lot about what I expect, because I told you all the dry stuff like a mask or this or that, I actually make, I would send that out by email or by message. In terms of the staff changes, in terms of timing, I'll take your time up now to watch this. So I recorded this literally for my salon network. So we'll play it. Thank you, Ria. Hi, everyone. As you've heard, Head Over Heels has had a soft opening. So we started trading on Monday, and what we've really done is controlled the amount of people in the salon at any time. That means that we only have between 3 to 4 stylists operating a day. We've also changed the booking system so that clients are operating on a 1 in and 1 out system, because we can't really play Tetris with our appointments. The knock-on effect of this right now means that it'll take us a little while to actually get through our books. And for those of you that haven't received a call from us, it doesn't mean we don't love you, it just means that we haven't actually got that far ahead. We're actually really only thinking 1 week ahead at the moment. We have all of the notes and we have all of the emails from all of you that have emailed. I would ask you, if you would like an appointment, to email reception@headoverheels.net.au, and we'll attend to that. Just so you know what's happening, Neil is obviously our receptionist and you all know him. His partner's high risk, so Neil is really only coming in the mornings and between 7 and 9 to attend to the emails and to the messages. So you will get through to us, and we will be able to book you an appointment. It just may take a little bit longer than usual, and for that I apologise. The other thing is we've extended our opening hours, so we're now open most days of the week. And I have to be honest and say that you may not get in on the day you want, because of course we can't have those famous Head Over Heels Saturdays where it's really pumping and the music's loud, because we really need to control the environment a whole lot more than that. Our expectations of you are that if you have been sick, please don't come into the salon. Or if you have actually got a temperature or you think, and at the moment we are going to take away our cancellation policy around that, because we need to be flexible. The other thing is, of course, I've asked all staff members that may be sick to not come to work, and that has a knock-on effect, and that means that days may change. But please, thank you for your patience in our soft opening. Be assured that we are taking every measure that we need to legally and morally, because we actually really at Head Over Heels want to turn this from a sickness into a wellness. So we want to make sure that you are well, our staff are well, our community is well, and that we're actually moving to the next level as we get through this COVID. If you'd like any further information on the processes and that we're actually following at Head Over Heels, please reach out. You'll generally find it on our social media, but please reach out with any questions or queries you have. If you yourself consider yourself high risk, then we are actually opening up early for one-on-one at certain times if they're available. But please, if you haven't heard from us yet, don't actually get upset with us. Just be a little patient. We'll actually get there. Thank you so much. Okay. So what did you think about that, guys, in terms of communication? Like, there's a lot of things that I actually didn't say. I didn't say you must wear a mask. I didn't say you must use hand sanitizer. I didn't say you must do all of these things. I said, I'm feeling my way through this. Things have changed. We love you and we are committed to you. And that is absolutely my promise to you as clients. Now, you're not going to get your appointment on the day you want. You're going to have to come in separately for your haircut and colour, more than likely. But love us like we love you. And trust me, the response, you can have a look at our social media, the response has actually been, really good to that, because clients just want to know. That's all. They just want to know the rules, and they want to they want to return safely. So, and telling them about my receptionist partner being high risk, because guess what? When we're working, I have a big salon. We have the phone on answer right now, because we need to deal with one client, because I can't actually race between a client, answer the phone, go, hi, head over heels, Nathan speaking, touch the touch screen, sanitize the phone, sanitize the touch screen, sanitize myself, run back to doing a haircut. I mean, it's not tenable. It just doesn't work. So you need to make decisions about that, and you need to apologize but not be sorry. And what I mean by that is, you need to say, I'm sorry that you may feel that your appointment's not at the schedule you want, but we can't change that, and we're all in that together. And I think that that's actually something that's incredibly, that's incredibly important. So, to the dry part of our presentation, and thank you for those of you that are still with me. The numbers haven't dropped, so that's good. So, as I said, I had a science background. A risk assessment is something that every single industry in the world must do. Ironically, hairdressing's always been a bit lazy with the risk assessment, and considering, hair color and stuff like that, it's probably something that we should look at. But a risk assessment is the effort of identifying and analysing potential events that may impact on the people, the assets, or the environment. So what that means is literally the clients or staff, the buildings, the assets, or the things that the business owns, and the environment, and making judgments on the tolerability of the risk. And there's no such thing as 100% safety. In your social media, please, and that's the one thing I said I didn't say about my video, there's no such thing as 100% safety. You cannot promise anyone that. You cannot, and you should not, because it simply doesn't exist. But so we've actually at KEVIN.MURPHY created a risk assessment for hairdressing that's specific to COVID-19. Now, listen to the podcast that Kevin did with Simone Lee, who's the director of the Australian Institute of Trichology, because she actually has done a great job there. Okay, so safety and wellness is a really important thing, and here are the questions you need to ask yourself. And I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole of what is appropriate in Holland or Hungary or the US or South Africa or the UK. That's actually your job. You need to do a risk assessment on your own businesses, listening to your own governments. But a risk assessment basically would be, can you list clear protocols for identifying or isolating guests who may have COVID-19? Like, you need to know that your whole team knows what to do if someone presents sick. Now, you may have asked them not to present sick, but they may. So you need to know what to do. Secondly, do you have at hand all of the PPE you may need, including the shields, the masks, the aprons, and the gloves? Again, I won't go down a rabbit hole of what all of that is, because you all need different amounts and you all have different legislation in your areas. But we know that it can be quite difficult to get it. So, and I take a point that you could probably charge a bit extra if it's something that blows your expenses out. But you need to have enough to know that you can trade for the week. You can't be running to the pharmacy and buying more. You need to know. So what's actually the process for your team and clients to access occupational health and safety references? And how knowledgeable are your employees regarding the latest advice and references regarding COVID-19? Do you have access to local health via phone or other means for immediate advice? And have you communicated to clients and all staff the procedures moving forward? Now, we all know that mental health is a big part of COVID. So do you have a mental health plan? And also, we know that clients disclose in hair salons, and we know that things like domestic violence rates and everything have gone through the roof during this period. So I would absolutely suggest you have a really strong mental health plan for all of your clients and for all of your staff, okay? So that you actually know where they can get that information. So say that a client discloses that, you know, she or he feel unsafe in a certain environment, you can drive them to those sorts of things. That is a basic risk assessment. We can actually start looking at it in terms of a little bit more mental health, right? You need to lead the change as we shift this to wellness, not sickness. And I think we're all starting to feel that. We're all at different stages of lockdown, and some of us are shut and some of us are open. But some of us are feeling more optimistic than we've actually felt for a very, very long time. And I think that that's actually great, and that's going to help us shift it to wellness. You need to consult with staff on how work will be conducted differently. That's a given, and that's your job to do that. You need to lead by example by taking care of yourself and implementing wellbeing procedures. Now, you might think it's strange that you need to have that sentence in there, but I guarantee you that hairdressing salon owners often put themselves last and their staff first. But you need to make sure. You need to enable flexibility and consider how booking may help your workers manage their work as well as their family. They might be trying to homeschool, they might be carers for aged parents, and you need to really look at all of that and to be really flexible about all of those things. Okay, so provide support. I think it's really important to be open and transparent and to say that it's okay not to be okay. Please come to me if you're not okay, if you're not coping. I have a staff member that has a panic attack when they wear a face mask because they find it overpowering. It makes them feel incredibly anxious. Well, that's okay. You can help people navigate that if you're open enough and they actually come to you and discuss that. You need to encourage open discussions to enable team members to share or learn. But remember, it can be a Zoom meeting. You're not going to be having big staff meetings for a long time. So that could be your weekly Zoom meeting. And everyone needs to know the services that are available in your area and where they should actually go. Okay, so questions about a risk assessment, because where we're going to go is we're going to go into managing some staff changes, and then we'll look at different areas of the salon. But any questions about a risk assessment at this stage? No? Great. Okay. We'll move on. Thank you, guys. So, managing staff changes. Now, I think that actually, I'll look at my notes here because I actually have that. Janine had a wonderful Facebook Live, Janine Simons, our colour master for Asia Pacific, on managing your team from afar and engaging them from afar. So I would actually drive you to that. But I need you to think about the fact that your staff are changing right before their eyes, like you are. They are rethinking what success is to them. They have shifting values that they're trying to work out. They've had more time at home. They've connected digitally better than ever. They may have been communicating with their clients at home, and they're going to be great to adapt to this new kind of landscape. I mean, I think one of the biggest things is, you know, honestly, I've already had a key player resign. Like, I had a key player resign an hour before I went on for my Facebook Live last week. And I was like, I cannot blame anyone who I love dearly who has been with me for, I don't know, if I get it wrong, I'll get into trouble, but I'm going to say 16 or 17 years because she was the Saturday. I can't blame anyone for leaving me after a pandemic because you've changed and you're like, right, I'm moving on. I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that or I'm going to become, but that's just going to happen. So just take that on, throw it over one shoulder and get on with it. It's just know that those changes are actually going to happen. So some interesting things that I'd like you to look at are health and wellness are going to take precedence over money and workload. I truly agree that the status symbol that I'm very busy has actually been altered. And I think that's a really important thing. And they might want to change things ongoing. They may not want a pay rise, but they may want more flexibility. The scheduling brought on by COVID may actually, and I'm sorry, I actually keep picking. Who do I keep picking out? Anyway, I keep on picking out Gina. I don't know why, Gina. But I think that we have to cop it on the chin that some of them might actually like this new scheduling. And already, I mean, because I can't have my staff there, I've got too many. They've all been given 3 to 4 days a week. And already some of them are starting to say, oh, maybe I'll continue to work 4 days a week. Well, again, I can't say anything about that. We've just been through a pandemic, you know, that's wonderful. They crave time to be creative and they view this time as part of their work, and it is part of their work. If they're exploring creativity in other landscapes, it's actually great. I also think communication with their clients is part of their job as well. And I think that it'd be naive of you to think that they haven't been communicating with their clients. They have. And I think that it's good to actually make that part of their job description, that you actually know. So some other things. So I want you to think about with staff, mental health, safety, wellness, but look into our package that will show you. The workload, they probably want to modify it. Targets that include wellness and lifestyle. New job descriptions. Now, I think it'd be really silly to write a job description right now. I think that we are looking 12 or 18 months down the garden path, but I think jobs will look quite different at that point. The future of education in this new world. I mean, you know, we at KEVIN.MURPHY famously went digital in a matter of weeks, and I think that that sort of digital learning and attending this webinar is actually going to be part of the future as well. It's all part of that, and it's all part of that community. So do you have any specific questions about staff, or will I move on quite quickly? Didn't have questions that many slides ago, so I'm going to keep going. It's probably one too many questions. So move on to, before we look at like the health and safety stuff, or the final section is changing your business and in response. So I'm actually going to go quite quickly through this, but this is the stuff that lives with you, but here are some tips and tricks. So you need to communicate with your staff and clients regularly about how your salon's addressing COVID. What I communicated to my staff and to my clients last week before opening was relevant for that week, and now the government's changed the guidelines this week. So we need to do this regularly. And, you know, what control measures and all of that. So for your salon and your clients, you need that whole shift into health and wellness. It's that 360 thing, and it's about communicating really well. Reception. Now, if you are a single operator, I don't care. What I'm basically saying by this slide is that all of the health and safety resources, everything you need, the protocols, the behaviours, the attendance, everything you need about COVID-19 needs to live in one place so everyone can lay their hands on it immediately. I can't be more clear than that. You can't have people running around going, oh, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that. If you've got it there, I call it reception, but make sure that everyone can get everything they want, and that includes clients as well, and it gives them reassurance as well moving on. Some more practical kind of decisions, and these are the slides I'll kind of shift over a little bit, but because there's a lot of legislation for home states here, but I think that actually having the salon looking empty and clean, it's not just because I'm gay and I like a clean line. I mean, I think having the salon looking emptier than pre-pandemic when they come back is actually a nice kind of emotional thing as well. And I actually made all the staff come in and actually spend a day cleaning before we reopened. But remove high-touch items like magazines, books, snacks, pamphlets, glorifiers, things that people tend to touch. Take them away for now. Throughout the day, you've got to wipe down all of your seating, and you know what? We don't do waiting anymore. We actually take them straight through into their chair that's sanitised. So it's not like this big waiting area anymore. All of the kind of hard and non-porous items need to be washed or sanitised or disinfected. And guys, I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole of to wash something removes a lot of stuff. To sanitize something removes more. To disinfect removes a lot more. And to sterilize removes everything. I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole of that. Sanitizing items is enough for where we're at right now. But think about the hard and non-porous items that are non-touch, high touch, like computer keyboards, phones, touch screens, your iPads, door handles, which I forgot about. I remembered all my door handles in the salon, but I forgot my door handles. They actually don't want to touch the toilet door right now. You might need to make a packet of tissues beside, but you've got to solve that problem in your own way. You need to roster your team appropriately for the local guidelines and to meet social distancing. I think it's better to open more hours and have less people in the salon, even if you don't need to. This is something I argued about with my business partner, because we can have more people than we actually have right now. But what does that look like, and what message is that sending? That's what I kind of think with that. I think that it's a really strong thing is to have Team A and Team B, because I'm sorry, but it's inevitable that COVID comes to one of our salons. And as long as appropriate procedures are met, then the other team can actually keep working. So consider that as we go through. And you will find all of these tips in the Reboot and Reopen package from Kevin Murphy, and that's why I'm kind of skimming through them so quickly right now. You need to schedule appointments. It's really, really... If you take an hour to do a haircut, you need an hour and 15. Trust me on this. You need to schedule appointments so that your last client is left and you've got time to actually clean down and disinfect everything. I'm not really handing out business cards and things like that at the moment. I'm actually not really loving cash right now and not taking cash and the point of sale. We've made that all touchless. I know in the US you can use Apple Pay and stuff, but in Europe it's like us, you've got a chip. And we've made it quite clear that we kind of prefer card right now. Make sure that, yes, the barber side, Stephanie, I have looked into that. I have actually got all that information and it's absolutely amazing. And that would be incredibly relevant to the North American market. The Australian Institute of Trichology does one here for this market, and there'll be different markets that actually give you a whole lot of this stuff as well. So place signage, you'll see in our package, we give you a lot of posters and things like that. It's an obvious one to have hand sanitizer. I'm sure that you actually need to have it by legislation, but even if you don't, I don't think the hand sanitizer is going anywhere for a number of years. I think that by the time we do our first round of hand sanitizer and then we do our second round, which will have Kevin's magic and fragrance and essential oils in it, I think that'll be in our salons for a very long time. A lot of people have tissues on hand, but you need to make sure that the bin has a bag in it and it's covered. But again, go to your local advice. We are using recycled paper cups at the moment for refreshments, but You know, I did say to a client the other day, would you like a paper cup with wine in it? And she was like, of course. I mean, you know, you've got to have these rules, but you can actually make exceptions in the right appropriate, you know. I mean, if you have a dishwasher that's an industrial dishwasher, then of course you can probably use dishes, but you then would need to look at actually how to train your staff to carry the glasses and all of that. Make sure you have everything you need. You always need to have that. And, you know, hairdressing, the land of the air kiss, well, the air kiss is gone. That's it. We're not kissing all our clients anymore. We've moved on. Bathrooms I wanted to touch on quickly because people are quite rightly fastidious about bathrooms. I think that we really need to up the ante in terms of that. Take any soft items or decorations out of the bathroom. Turn off the electric hand dryer and do paper towel and tissues, but with the bin and the bag. I'm sorry, you can find the plastic bags made out of bamboo or cornstarch. And America really leads the world in terms of bathrooms, I think, because I love an American bathroom. You don't have to touch anything, which is great. You can generally walk in and not touch much, and that's kind of what we're looking for there. Laundry. Now, someone asked about capes before. We are using our KEVIN.MURPHY capes. That means that our KEVIN.MURPHY capes then go into a special bin, right? A special laundry bin that goes straight into the washing machine that's removed by a staff member with gloves, and then it goes into another bin. So there's no cross-contamination anymore. One client, one cape, washed immediately. And if you use towels are considered single use. I use like an eco towel that is goes into landfill. It's biodegradable. It's made from recycled paper. I use something like that. Green Circle salons will help you in America. There's lots of places that you can do that. And try and find those solutions that work with that wellness and environmental landset as well. In your workstations, about your combs, your clips, your brushes, they need to be sealed containers is a really good way to do, but you can use multi-use sealed containers. It's only in America that they allow to use those barbicide kind of tins. They're kind of not around in the rest of the world, or not legal in Australia in terms of that. But whatever you need to do according to your local laws. But before and between each client, sanitize and wipe down chairs and benches. And trust me, the clients actually like seeing you do it. So don't be shy to do it in front of them. They actually love seeing you do that. They love seeing you wipe your scissors down, even though they're clean and you've already done them. They love you going through that motion. It's something that makes them feel well instead of like, oh, fearful. Again, with electrical items and trolleys and no magazines in the chairs. And again, the towels and the wraps and all of that kind of stuff. I've skimmed through that. The basins, I would say, though, an interesting thing I would say about the basin or the backwash in America or the sink, whatever you want to call it, if you think about it, when you shampoo someone's hair, you're over them like that, and your face is quite actually, because in hairdressing, it's good to stay behind the client right now, and that's what we're really trying to do. That actually gets blown out of the water a little bit when you actually go to the basin. So I would recommend, even if you don't have to use a mask in your area, that probably at the basins it's nice to do so. We don't have to use masks in Australia. We do have enough masks for everyone, and we give each client a preference. It's not about putting your mask on in the morning and wearing it all day. It's, a fresh mask. So we give each client that preference. Take away anything like cushions and things like that, and we wipe down the chairs between each client. Personal space or social distancing is also something we need to really, really look at in that area, because it can be quite difficult. So if you're doing big basin balayage jobs and, I'd have a think about those sorts of services right now on a practical sense, where a client had to lie down for an hour or so in the basin. I think that might be a bit too much. So, almost finished, guys. Any questions about any of that? I skimmed through that quite quickly. Okay. Great. Okay, so I'm going to look at our final little section with us, and then we'll skim through the reboot and reopen. But this is about finding the opportunities, which closes the circle for me. So you know that I've actually we've actually looked at kind of wellness, but let's think of some opportunities for you and your staff to maintain that wellness. So I would say Facebook is not the place you get your COVID-19 your COVID-19 information. And Alexander and Nikos, if you're there, 5G is not creating COVID-19, I'm sorry to say, but you need to fact check all the information you get from all of these kind of areas. Manage your news intake. I think running between, Jesse, sorry, there was a question there. Mari said we made a quiet zone of basins. Yes, we have too. Jesse, would you ask a client to wash their hair at home? Actually, Jesse, I would. We know that shampoo kills coronavirus. In our original email, which is actually in our Reboot and Reopen package, you will see that it's actually asking clients to come in with freshly washed hair. Well, you know what I do when they get to my salon? I wash their hair again. That's just me. But I ask them to come in with freshly washed hair, even if they're having... And that's fine. I think that you need to find your ways for that to adapt. Constantina's saying, are you able to offer blow dries with haircuts? If not, are you discounting the haircut price? I think that you've answered your own question, because letting them wear a mask home probably does offset the price. So I think you're a clever thinker, Constantina, in that. I think that actually we are able to offer blow dries here in Australia at this stage. I know that it's only Germany, I think, that's saying no blow dries at the moment. And we're not discounting anything at this stage. No, because think about all the extended costs and PPE and Cyprus. Oh, okay, so Constantina's in Cyprus. Okay, so I think that, yeah, we're not. But again, that would be a case by case, because as I said before, we're kind of limiting which appointments we do. We're not going to do a $600 5-hour balayage at this stage. So they're going to come in and get something they're happy with, and it's going to be a lot quicker. Yeah, so I hope that helps you. But I know the package will, Constantina. Andrew, salon and stylists should be avoid reposting or sharing. Yes, I agree. I mean, I absolutely agree. But Andrew, I'll go a little bit further than that, and I'll say that it's not healthy to look at that between clients, because actually what you should be doing when you're in the salon is focusing on the wellness of everyone in the salon. I think that is the most important thing that we can actually do is actually, is focus on what we're doing that day. Great. We'll go back to the presentation if that's all right. Ria? So yes, back to that, Andrew. Managing a news take breaks from watching and listening. Stay connected. I think that's great. Talk to your colleagues, clients, managers about your feelings or your concerns. Think about how you can stay in touch by phone. Oh, there's a lot in this presentation, guys. Help and support others. Yes, thank you, Andrew. Shift to wellness. That's our aim at KEVIN.MURPHY. Think about how you could make those a route you feel better. Manage your workload. My biggest advice to you is, Tina, don't try and hit it full on again, because you're going to, in Australia, we say come a cropper. It's too difficult. You can't just go. You need to start softly. That's why I call it a soft opening. Just start a bit slowly and be flexible. For our clients that are high risk, I've said, of course I'll cut your hair at 8 o'clock in the morning before everyone gets there. I think you need to have that flexibility for them and that flexibility for everyone as well. Take care of your body. Your physical health has a big impact on how you're feeling emotionally and mentally. Now, I don't know about you guys, but seeing all of these bloggers on social media and their bodies through this, I'm like, where is my lockdown body? It didn't actually happen the way I wanted it to. I thought I'd actually be, exercising and feeling really slim, but at the least, eat healthy and take well-balanced meals and all of that kind of stuff, and get into that new daily routine and set those goals that are about purpose and all of that sort of stuff. Do things you enjoy, paint, do whatever you need, creative stuff, go for a walk, whatever. That's all tips for managing well-being, and that's part of the Reboot and Reopen package. So you can actually break that out of that package and give that to your staff. It'll give you everything you need to host a virtual meeting if you're hosting by Zoom. It'll give you everything you need in terms of communicating with clients. Before I move on, I'll actually show you the package. Are there any questions about anything at all? No? Great. Okay. Yes, we're almost 2 hours in. So this is our Reboot and Reopen package, guys. I'll flick through it quite quickly. So what it'll actually give you, it's a resource guide for returning to the salon. So, of course, it starts with a little bit of information about what coronaviruses are and how to, and how it actually spreads. And then it goes into the simple hygiene practices that you can do for staff and for employers, and the symptoms that we actually need to understand. And then all of that stuff I took you through before. So all of the information that will allow you to do your own salon risk assessment for COVID-19. Now, remember, a risk assessment is a risk assessment, and then you can apply your own local rules to that, but you can still use the risk assessment to actually do that because it will highlight those. And then we go into the mental health during COVID, which is about leading change and support. And then a before you reopen and ongoing best practice checklist. So, and that'll break down into zones like reception, retail area, bathrooms, laundry, workstations, basins. And then you'll get this great PDF. You can click here if you see, it'll have a click here and you get access to all the artwork that you can put this poster up on your back wall. Bye, Donna. You can put this poster on your back wall and you can actually show everyone everything they need to do. And then there's tips to manage well-being and tips to managing well-being for your team that I just went through. These are great, these social media assets for Instagram. I put them up for my salon. Some of them are little GIFs that they actually, so what you do is you click on one of the tiles and you can see that we've got from we missed you to yes, we're open to when you come back to the chair and as we plan to reopen. And clicking on each of those tiles will give you access to other tiles that you can then use for your social media. And then what you'll see is it'll give you the captions or the captions that you can actually do there. Here is our email headers. So here are templates for email. It doesn't matter if you use MailChimp or Active Campaign or one of the ones that you can actually do. So it'll give you the, excuse me. So it'll give you either for iPhone or for email format, whatever, however you communicate with your clients. There's a template. It involves the words that you can then edit. So it'll say, dear blah, 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 insert client. It'll give you all the text that you need to. You can delete and add text and moderate it depending to the behaviours that you'd like your clients. And remember, this is where I think that you tell your clients how you'd like them to behave. So this will actually give you all of that in those social media assets. And then we've got some other social media assets in terms of SMS messaging. So we've got like message template copies that you can actually, like you see here, it's like at insert salon name. We're working hard to ensure our salon remains a safe place. So should you feel unwell, contact to reschedule. So we've taken all of that thinking away so you guys can actually just get on with engaging your team and your clients, which is really your biggest job, is to make everyone around you feel safe and feel well. And, you know, this is absolutely the best kind of stuff that we can really offer you for your clients. Additional stuff, KMTV. So on KMTV, we've got focusing your attention and setting your intention, practicing gratitude, maintaining team culture from a distance, thriving when chimes change. Who listens to our podcast channel? We've got navigating our new normal, getting ready to get back to business, returning to the salon, and finding a new way to stand by embracing change. I'm actually, Massimo, the podcast that you and I recorded is part of that one, to tell you the truth. So I can't wait for you to listen to it. And then, of course, we've got all the other digital resources that thanks, Nicole. I'm actually going to revisit that with Amy and Natalie, to tell you the truth. I think that they're really important. So you'll have everything you need to communicate with your clients. It really is a one-stop shop in terms of that. It's what you call a live PDF. So it has, it has areas in which you can click to download all of the assets you may need, or to break out the posters for your salon, or for your, and that can be done in tabloid, or it can be done in all of that. So you have everything you need in terms of being able to do a risk assessment. Joshua, that information, for those of you, will come from your distributor. That will come from your distributor, okay? So I think we would have to translate. Yes, you would need a lot of time to translate that into Chinese characters. Okay, well, I'm 2 minutes off done, and that's good. Now, the first thing is I apologise for the slightly funky late start, so thank you all for bearing with me. And also, it's a dry topic, but my call to action to you is to turn this from sickness to wellness. Salons are wellness. We touch people. We love them. We think about that. Gina, is it a Conversations with Kevin Murphy? Yes, that's right. They're all on that. So really, just have patience and love and time. Don't put yourself under too much pressure. I'm sorry, Gina, I feel like I keep calling you out, but don't worry about how you're going to meet your per square meter thing right now. And I understand that, because I have good days and bad days, but just know that everyone's in it together. The clients want to return to you. They love you. They just need to feel secure. The staff love you. They want to return. They just want to feel secure as well. And just make it about that, because remember I said we'd been through this mental shift where it was about consume before, and now it's about thinking about the things that we actually want, and the things that we've actually changed. So give yourself to find that. And yes, thank you. I can see your closing comments. We will actually upload a recording of it, Avon, and good luck in Singapore, because I think you open today or tomorrow or something like that. Thanks, Tina, and thank you, UK. So thanks, guys. I hope you've had a good time, and we got there. Thank you so much. Take care.